Welcome to another episode of Marketing School. I'm Eric Su.
And I'm Neil Patel.
And today we're going to talk about this one little thing that can screw up your company, so don't do it.
So what is it, Eric?
Rebranding. And why rebranding?
Yeah, I always find that companies who are making money and have nothing else better to do, for some reason, love rebranding. And it's like, you're already growing fast. Why would you want to change your name when things are good? Like if you're a Comcast and you have shitty customer experience and you have technicians falling asleep on people's couches, if you guys aren't in the US and you don't know what Comcast is, it's a television cable provider. It eventually ended up being rebranded to Xfinity. That makes sense because their brand was so terrible and people hated them. But there's a lot of times where branding doesn't make sense. Like recently we were talking about in a podcast how ConvertKit is changing their name to Siva. They're already doing really well and they have this meaning of what Siva is and why they're rebranding. But most people are going to be like, Siva, they won't know how to spell it and they have no clue what it means.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I think if we look at that blog post, I did read why they do it. I think I listened to a podcast too. And, you know, they said they wanted to rebrand it because not many people understand what ConvertKit means. So they're like, only marketers understand it. And they want Siva to be kind of, you know, like a Google, for example, or something that's more kind of widely understood.
Yeah, but them focusing on marketers, specifically bloggers, is how they generated most of their revenue. So it's like it's going against the grain. SEO Moz once rebranded to Moz, and they wanted to get away from SEO. That makes sense if you're changing your product. But if you're not changing your product, you shouldn't try to change your name. And if you think about it, they didn't go from SEO Moz to a random name. They try to keep it very related to let people know that, hey, Moz does more than just SEO.
Yeah, and so I was just telling you before we started this podcast, the rebrand actually has to make sense, like if you're changing things up, right? So in the case of ConvertKit, it doesn't seem like they've changed many features or what the company's really about.
And maybe there's something in the future that we don't know, but like they're growing fast. I don't know why they would want to rebrand. But funny enough, you just mentioned before this podcast that you're rebranding as well.
Yeah, so the Growth Everywhere podcast, I've been doing it for close to 5 years now. And so I have that book that I've been working on because by the way, Neil introduced me to some cool book people. But the book is called Leveling Up. And then I just realized that my entire life, everything that I do right now centers around playing life as a game. And I'm just like, okay, I have this thing called Growth Everywhere. I spent a lot of time on it. Why not just rebrand it to Leveling Up and then tie everything into that whole mission around playing the game of life?
There goes 5 years of branding.
Well, the thing is, it's not that big yet, so.
Fair enough. And the other caveat to this too is if you want to rebrand and you don't have a ton of traction, you know, by all means go for it. It's not that bad at that point, and it's not like you lose a ton of traffic or revenue. You have to really worry about it when you're starting to make millions and millions of dollars.
Yep, I mean, it's true. There's really nothing for me to lose at that point. And so just keep in mind, I mean, we've talked about it for the last couple episodes, just keep things relevant, do it when it makes sense. And for them, I mean, I would recommend that you go read kind of why they did the rebrand. Maybe that'll give you some, I mean, if you're thinking about going through that right now, look at the reasons for doing it. Maybe the reasons might resonate, maybe they might not. Right now, you know, I think in the present day, like we'll see what the results are. Maybe we can be completely wrong. Neil and I are kind of a little, you know, iffy about it, but you know, we love ConvertKit as a company and, you know, or Siva now, and we'll see what happens eventually. Anything else?
That's it for mine.
All right. So please go to singlegrain.com/survey. Take 2 minutes, fill it out, and it's going to help us make this podcast better for you, and we'll see you tomorrow.